I don't know why.
Ooh, yeah. That happy hour hits different. OutDrank The Coverage, that's the name. For the sports, the food, the whole game. We talking touchdowns in that silver screen. The smoothest host that you ever seen. Roll through on Thursday, 5 p.m. sharp. Let the good times roll, playing that G-Funk heart. OutDrank The Coverage, yeah, that's the spot. OutDrank The Coverage, yeah, that's the spot.
Hey, can you hear me?
Not over the music.
That's weird. I don't know what happened there because that's coming through our thing. Hang on, let me say something.
You can hear me now, right? You rotten bum!
Barely.
Well, yeah, that's fine. You can barely, but for some reason, my mic was muted at the beginning. Anyway, hello everybody. It's Terry the host. It's intern Noe the pro commissioner, one-time world champion of the OutDrank the Football Fantasy League. Not 2 times, not 2 in one season. Just one time only.
It is decided. It is decided. It is decided.
It is decided. How you doing, intern Noe the pro?
The defending champion is doing well, sir. How are you?
I love our passive aggressive talking crap to each other. We would not do good in the wrestling. You know, I'm going to kill Noe. But, you know, he's a really nice guy. Man, we hang out. We have a good time.
Hey, what are you drinking?
I am just drinking a little bit of Twist. We went down to my parents' house for July 4th, and my studio wife made this really cool drink. I'm not making and drinking the mixed drink tonight, but it's called a Mr. Woo Woo. It's got vodka, peach schnapps, and cranberry juice, and you mix it all together. Really good, really refreshing. We've already talked about we're going to have that. I might even drink some of that Friday because for people that don't know, intern Noe is coming in for the monthly recordings, and sometimes we shoot too quick, and you know we kind of fall way short of the sun. So I think I might start this Friday off with some woo woo, and then some drinking. But anyway, I'm drinking Tito's because we took Tito's down.
Very nice, very nice. I am doing a Kentucky Mule. I'm doing a cocktail.
Wow, we were just having the conversations of mules and stuff. Now, how is the Kentucky Mule different than the Russian Mule?
Just different liquor. So Russian Mule, Russia is typically known for vodka. Kentucky, they're known for bourbon. So I selected a bourbon, Buffalo Trace, and I got the Kroger brand ginger beer and some lime juice. Well,
very, very nice. I'm a little distracted. I was trying to do something. I'm not gonna be able to do it. I totally forgot to download the meme or the AI image that we use for this to judge. That's a new game we're doing. I can't get it to work for some reason. Just if you saw it, I thought it was pretty cool. For it did what I wanted for July 4th. I said put the 2 hosts in USA soccer kits, and obviously July 4th, and I thought it did a pretty good job of that.
Dallas or the DFW area has hosted, or they will host about 9 World Cup games. I think it's the most out of any of the other areas in North America.
It is.
What have you been watching? Question one, have you been watching? And 2, what do you think of the tournament now that it's been expanded to 48?
All right. First off, hello to 10,000 people. We want to let you know that if you'd like to chat with us, whatever platform you're listening to us on, whether it be YouTube, video, whether it be Twitch, whether it be TikTok, Facebook, just make your message there. In our studio, we record all these out of one studio that shoots it for us. We will be able to see the question and we will answer it. All right, so you and I had this talk our last happy hour. No, the happy hour before that, right before we started, right before the World Cup started. And you and I talked about that. You still kind of follow soccer, but like I had completely fell out. I think they're not making that one World Cup. Just kind of that was it because that was it's been forgotten now, but that was utterly one of the biggest collapses in World Cup qualifying history. What the United States did in 2018, and so I just got away from soccer. I'm not going to say it's brought me back 100%, but I will at least have that 2-week start when the season starts, EPL. I'll have that 2-week start where I'll be like, okay, here's who I'm watching. I'll do a fantasy soccer. And then like 2 weeks later, I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot. They play soccer now, don't they? What about you? Have you got more into it now?
Yeah, just key players. Like I've been following the U.S. striker, Balogun. I think his actual whole name is Folarin Balogun. Anyway, he actually technically grew up in England, but he was born in Brooklyn. and he lived there for 2 months. And then his family he's of Nigerian descent. But anyway, I was following him a little bit, and the whole story about the red card, and typically the red card you can't play the next game, but I think it was just a ticky-tack kind of call that FIFA decided to overturn it and let him play tonight.
Cristiano Ronaldo rule is what it is, because in November, Ronaldo elbowed a guy during qualifying, and he got a red card, so he was going to be out the next game. And this was if Portugal loses, they're eliminated. That's kind of what made their run till today pretty impressive, because they started the World Cup up slow. Everybody was saying, oh, they're too old, and they barely survived into World Cup. But after the red card, FIFA then said, no, he can play. We have this very vague rule, which is a great vague rule to have. It's a catch-all that basically says, hey, we can do whatever we want whenever we want. We're going to do it. And so they let Ronaldo keep playing. They used it today, now, or for the Americans this time. These articles, oh my God, these reach around articles of, this might help the U.S., but you should feel bad about it. No, it was a bad call. Yes, a bad rule corrected a bad call. But the most important thing is it got corrected. I get so tired of sports, and I know you know this, but for people that know, 12,000 people, holy crap. Oh yeah, back to it. I'm just gonna say, I might have been a little hungover all day today, and this is hitting pretty quick. So, Manila, we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna beef that just to see if we get some viral information on that. But anyway, I used to umpire baseball. Like, there was a time where I was thinking and trying, and if I'd had the internet then, I would have looked more, I'd been able to look more. I wanted to possibly do umpiring going forward. One of the things that always frustrated me on certain things it doesn't matter if you have the correct call. If it doesn't work the way we work under the structure, you can't call that. That just makes no sense to me. So I have no problem with them doing it. I have no problem with Belgium being mad about it. I would be too. Let's be all fair.
And I can understand from Belgium's perspective, because this doesn't really happen that often. And two, this is kind of the end of their golden era of players. So there's a need to win this game to get, to max out the best of Courtois and all the other players.
I mean, I still think they're the favorites tonight. I want the United States to win. I think they can. And I actually like their matchup if they do win. It's weird to say that with who they would play, but I think the winner of this game goes on to the four. I really do. I think these two teams are better than the two teams that on the other.
So earlier today, recording live, Spain beat Portugal, and wouldn't Belgium and U.S. play Spain?
That's why I said it's weird to say this, but I legitimately think right now, if all three teams continue form going into, I know soccer. I still know all the words. Like you and I, we would be like, yeah, man, football. I love when they do dig routes and them tackles. It's beautiful. And then look at the lovely creative flow of soccer. We used to do all the talks like we knew what we were doing. I just think right now, Belgium and the United States are playing overall better than Spain. Spain, man, at this tournament, we were talking about before we started recording. I mean, they've kind of been spit and spot, and it kind of get going, and then they can't quite break through and all that. But their defense is so good right now. We were talking about that too. Their goalie has not given up a goal yet. But yeah, I've enjoyed this. I have enjoyed seeing the world react to the United States like let's be honest, all of us, I think around the world was thinking this is going to be a crappy World Cup. Nobody wants to be there. We're not talking political, your views personally, people. The politicalization of soccer and just where politics are, not only in America, but just where we are in the world right now. I mean,
soccer fans are used to the politics. I mean, FIFA, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I'm talking about the third party fan that only watches the World Cup, never watches any other soccer. I thought a lot of them were going to check out. I just thought it was going to be a kind of a crappy run. This has turned out to be maybe the one of the best World Cups ever. Not only off the pitch, but on the pitch. England, New Mexico. New Mexico succeeded, and they almost beat England. England and Mexico, legitimately one of the best games, World Cup games I have ever seen. I was rooting for both sides in a weird way, because England, they've had that. I hate when somebody said this to me. England's kind of like the Dallas Cowboys of soccer. No, son of a bitch.
Well, I mean, it's been 60 years for England.
Yeah, they've only won one, but they're the next greatest that hasn't won it in a long time. After Argentina finally won it, and Argentina had won one in between, them too. But then Mexico at Azteca. England becomes only the third nation to beat Mexico in Azteca Stadium. United States, England, I can't remember the other one. If somebody's on, it could have been, I don't think it was a power. I think it was a random one-off. But I was rooting for Mexico. And then, just all through it. This has been, I think, a 100% World Cup success. And I stick to my original belief that I see a day, maybe not the World Cup, but I could even see the World Cup. But I see a day where every international thing is played in the United States simply because the United States has all the infrastructure. We don't have to build new stadiums. We don't have to do all that. And that's why I see a day where it's mainly the Olympics, just park it in the United States.
And the best thing about it is all we have right now is baseball up until September. I don't count the preseason in August for football. So I'm just saying, like, it's a perfect time. These stadiums are empty. We have the infrastructure. We have the entertainment. We have all the ranch, which apparently Europeans love now. So America really has everything. And hey, kudos to Canada and Mexico. All three countries have done well hosting all the games. I definitely could see, if not the Summer Olympics, I could see some big event in the summer happening every few years here.
Oh man, what would be actually cool for the World Cup? The European World Cup. Games in England, games in Germany, games in France, games all over, because they all have the stadium. They have the soccer structures to hold all that.
Well, don't they? Isn't that what UEFA is? Like the Champions League?
Yeah, but no. I'm talking about the European, the continent itself hosts a World Cup where you have, like we have three countries hosting this time. We had Korea and Japan hosting. Have it be not every European, but just call it the European World Cup. And like I say, the final could be at Wembley. That's just kind of the perfect way.
And that's fine, because we just did a World Cup right now where it's North America. It's a continent hosting the World Cup.
I don't wonder if they're setting that up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like what you're saying. Just have the entire continent of Europe. And that'd be awesome.
Yeah, if folks don't know, it's really easy to travel between countries there. It's really easy. And so I thought there'd be a little bit more problems with some of the immigration and stuff that's going on right now. And again, we're not talking about right or wrong or left or right. I'm just saying it's an issue. In Europe, you can easily travel freely. And I think that would be a blast, man. And even, give the teams, I would love to see the European teams that qualify. Or maybe just let the whole European nations qualify that one time. That would be awesome, actually. We've got plenty of teams now. There's 48, and they're even already talking about expanding it to, I think it was 56 or 64. So, and they're eventually going to. Man, I'm gonna call Seth Blatter, my friend, up.
No, the host is automatically qualified. Mm-hmm. That's why 4 years ago Qatar qualified for the World Cup. That, and then they paid for it. Politics, FIFA. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. So
no politics in soccer.
Yeah. Mario's in the chat. What's up, Mario? Yeah, I agree with Mario. There's been a really good World Cup matchup almost every other day.
And then you had, we've had again. It is kind of interesting how this kind of mirrors 94 when U.S. got, before 94. So the U.S. had some really good early World Cups, technically made it to a World Cup final, even though it's a little bit different back then. And then America went dark with soccer. And I don't mean the color of the skin of the players. I mean, America just was crap. Terrible. I will read something about USA. I'm just making this name up though. USA legend Mark Thumbush. He played from 80 to 83. In 200 games, he had 3 goals. He was the leading scorer for 20 years. That's how bad America was. But then they kind of started putting more effort into it. 94, they get the cup. We didn't know how good America was going to be. And then they had a surprising run. They even got a guy killed. That's how great this run was. And then, of course, we remember 2002. That's probably the best America has ever been until this year. Losing to Germany in just a game where the German goalkeeper was just standing on his head left and right. I can remember me and my roommate, because I was in college, him and I woke up and we got into we had, 2 bedrooms and a living room with a TV. I had another TV on top because the TV on the bottom didn't have sound, but we would play college football, Madden and all that while we were watching sports. And so I remember us watching that at like 4 a.m. and just getting so sad because America lost. And then now, coming into this World Cup, I mean, we all thought they were going to be crap. The only reason I thought they got out of knockout or out of the first round was because I thought they had an easier run than a lot of teams. But man, they have looked legitimately impressive to where I do think if they win tonight, they could at least make the World Cup final. I don't see a path for them winning it though.
I like that you brought up the 2002 World Cup because now I see a parallel.
Exactly.
If the U.S. wins tonight, they will go to the quarters like they did in 2002. Play a team with a goalie that's standing on his head.
Right, good point.
And in this case, in 2002, Oliver Kahn was goalkeeper for Germany. He basically guided them to the final, and then Brazil was just too much. He ended up still being the player of the tournament. That's to his credit. He was that dominant. But yeah, Spain's goalie, he hasn't allowed a goal. Was it 5 matches now? So there's a parallel there. What I will say, this USA team, compared to other versions, they're a lot faster, especially at forwards and strikers. This is the fastest I've ever seen them.
Yeah, this is the first time that, and I'm so glad for this. And this is what what's his name, the German that came in for a little while that everybody thought was going to. Yeah, this is what Klinsmann wanted. We have stopped being that plucky little team that parked the bus, and you're going to shoot 42 shots on us, and we're not going to give up a goal, and then we just hope one time we get a counterattack the other way. And think of Clint Dempsey in this form. First off, I don't even know if Clint Dempsey would be a true striker. I think he would have to move to pure middle. You put Puzelik on his side. You put Puzelik on one side, Landon Donovan on the other, and Dempsey in the middle, all in their youth. We're playing that magical, everybody's in their youth. That would be formidable. But to watch this team play, they look like they are confident. They look like they can score. I don't feel, oh, dear God, I hope we can just stop 70 shots today and get one lucky goal.
Yeah, this is a team that could actually score without the counter, without some luck. This team actually has some skills all over the place. So, but this will be their toughest opponent, Belgium. Even though they're older, they still have a lot of great players. They have a great goalie. This is going to be tough. They play at 7 o'clock tonight, Central Standard Time. So in Seattle, that'll be a pretty epic crowd.
That's going to be rocking.
Yeah, Seattle, there's a passionate fan base. The Sounders get a lot of attendance. Just that stadium, Quest Field, that's 12th man. The way the stadium is designed, so where the Seattle Seahawks play, the noise bounces back and forth from each side, so that creates even a louder environment. It really intimidating, kind of like what happened in Mexico yesterday, Mexico and England. The match itself was great, but the crowd turned it up a notch.
And dude, what I loved about that crowd though is after the game, acknowledging both teams. That is one of the cool things soccer does well. Usually, you can be blood rivals, but if there's a great game played, you acknowledge that. And we talked about where England's like that team that won forever ago and never can quite break through again. Mexico is one level below. They're the region threat who can win a couple, but they never can seem to find consistency to push through. Man, we all thought in the 2006 to 2016 range when you had probably the most talented Mexico team you've had since the 86 World Cup or the 80 World Cup, but they just could never find it. And them, kind of like the United States this year, a lot of people just didn't really know what they had coming in, and I know it sucks, but they acquitted themselves well, as did Canada. A terrible injury probably changed the trajectory of that run. And Morocco, I think a lot of people don't realize because the name is Morocco. Morocco this year has a really damn good soccer team. They actually might be the dark horse to win it.
They were the first African team to make it to the semifinals.
Hey, I don't need everything to be made about race. Here in this country,
honestly, unfortunately, a lot of those Northwest African countries that are of a certain religion, they don't technically like to consider themselves African, but that's for another topic.
So, well, you went mute. There you go. You're back.
Okay.
Did you say something spicy?
I said something spicy.
I was gonna say, might go, oh no, I can't let him say this.
No, it's just some of those countries up there like Morocco and Algeria, they're not they don't like hearing that they're an African country, but
yeah, Egypt.
Yeah, they are, yes, they are an African country. Egypt plays, I think, tomorrow against Argentina. That's Mohamed Salah versus Leo Messi.
Dude, does Argentina shock the world and pull off the repeat? I think everybody thought, hey, this will be cute. They should play long enough that Messi gets the best goal ever. They'll probably make it to the round of 8, and it'll be a very respectable, because I don't see Lionel Messi coming back for another run. So this would be a respectable way. You got your win, and here they are, man. I mean, Messi's had a great tournament, but his support has been there as well.
Yeah, this is a shocker for me because I really thought that 2022 Argentina team, that was the best possible team they could have around Messi. And I knew they were not young. And now this team is just playing great. I guess they got a lot of new talent. But yeah, Messi's playing like a guy that's not almost 40 years old. He's playing great. They had a scare against Cape Verde, small African island, just right outside the continent. 500,000 people population. I would say that was the match of the entire tournament so far. I watched that game from start to end. It was very thrilling. Cape Verde just kept answering Argentina, and Argentina just looked frustrated. Argentina was the better team, but it was just like Cape Verde, there's like plucky underdog that just wasn't going away. Their goalie is fantastic. He was making some great saves. But yeah, I still think Argentina should beat Egypt tomorrow. Egypt is literally one player, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's why you play the game, right?
Let me ask you about that. And I love the Capo Verde story. It's a blast. But their official World Cup record in this run is 0-1-3. I mean, look, I'm not just, again, if you just joined us and never heard, we used to follow soccer a lot. I played soccer when I was a kid for multiple years. I know the rules and everything. But it's a great run, but it's like, I mean, you just kind of park the bus against the teams. And, it took Uruguay and Argentina to score on you because they know how to counter attack. That's one thing, the Central American, South American teams, it's based on counterattacks, but not like in the boring park the bus and try once or twice. It's like everything's a counterattack. I mean, their goalie kicks the ball from an in play. It's a counterattack. That's just how they play it. And they were able to get past, their defense. And again, it's a great story, but it is like, man, you were, technically you're 0-3-0. That's just weird.
Yeah, but that's basically because it expanded to 48, so 32 teams qualify for the knockout stage. That would mean 8 third-place teams qualified, and you just got lucky. There's 4 other third-place teams that didn't qualify. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think Mario. I'm looking at the comment. I don't think Mario thought Morocco was a European.
Oh no! I don't think he did either.
Yeah, it's the way it was worded. It looked like it might have been, but yeah, I would. That would be great. Spain, Portugal, Morocco. Yeah, we've already had South Africa host.
That's where it is. Yeah. 2030 is Spain, Portugal, and Morocco.
Oh, he was literally saying that. Oh, okay.
And then 2034 is Saudi Arabia. Okay.
Oh,
the whitewashing of sports continues.
Oh boy. Okay.
You even and this is not, again, this isn't just because I had got away from soccer, because again, I still, even when I didn't watch, I still kind of kept of it. But I have to say, and you have to understand, there is a disclaimer.
Well, now, Noe,
To be fair, Qatar was played during traditional football season for Americans, but I don't remember anything of it. I really don't. Like, I don't remember. I mean, I know Argentina won. I remember that. And I was, you know me when I was watching, I was a Barcelona fan because of Lionel Messi. So I did, I love that. But I just don't I don't remember, was it even considered a good World Cup outside of Messi and them winning?
It was a great World Cup final.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Mbappe, France's great striker, he had a hat trick to bring France back in that game. If they win, that would have been considered the greatest performance ever in a World Cup history. But now I would consider that the greatest performance by a team that lost in the World Cup final. I really think France is going to win no matter what. But again, in one match, anything can happen. But on paper, France is still better than Spain. I still think Spain and England are kind of tied there. Spain's a little younger. England is, if they're going to win, it has to be right now. They're set up well to get to the Final Four.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
From there, we'll just see what happens.
I thought you were talking about roster age because I'm like, I mean, they're still well, we do this with the World Cup. You brought it up when you said Belgium. And you're right. Belgium, this is probably, there's 3 players on Belgium's team that this is probably their last hurrah. And they're all 3 really, really good players. But the thing we see with World Cup development, again, just like America, we all thought this is going to suck. And here we are. And again, we could be wrong in 4 years, but no matter what happens now, and maybe this is 2002 again, because what happened in the next one, they bombed out. Everybody thought that was going to be the best American team ever. But this is setting up to be the best American team ever because the age of all these guys are just, they're at the 22 to 26 level. They're going to be here for 2 World Cup cycles, maybe even 3, depending on if some people are like Lionel Messi and, keep pushing for an extra year. I do want to say one of the interesting things is, and this is why I love sports because this is so effing random. One of the games in the friendlies right before the World Cup that everybody said, oh, crap, United States might not even make it out of the first round is when they lose to Belgium 5-1. Or 5-2. They score 1-0 up early. I actually watched part of this game. Scored up 1-0 early. I was like, hey man, that's really cool. And then proceeded to just collapse, arguing on the pitch. Looked like the coach was ready to quit and all that. So I do love this sports circle moment that we get in sports where now it's Belgium. And if they beat Belgium, they go back to the highest they've ever been in the future or the modern era of World Cup.
Yeah, again, we'll see. We'll see in about an hour and a half what happens. Man, I really can't wait to watch it. I think it's gonna be a really good game. This is a much different USA team. I'm trying to think of the other teams that are still left. Because now we're getting down to the final 8. Norway upsetting Brazil.
You called that though,
but Norway is kind of like Portugal. Maybe to a lesser extent, much more of an extent. Erling Haaland is a beast. He's 6'5", in his mid-20s, kind of like Ibrahimovic in a way, where he's a big dude that can make some acrobatic kicks.
Yeah,
he's a one-man show. If you ever watched him on the club level, it's ridiculous how good he is. I'm just surprised Norway got this far, but I don't doubt they can win their next match as long as Holland is perfectly fine.
England. I mean, this is where England starts to choke like the Cowboys. I have England still as a favorite, but we were jokingly in our thread, our sports rehab page, talking about when they rescinded the red card. I said, the most United States thing will ever happen. He'll get another red card. The most England thing will happen is they win this glorious matchup as an underdog to one of the toughest home teams in the history of the World Cup and then lose to Norway 3-0. It is so, I watched I probably said this is years ago, but I watched a guy do a documentary on just I think the title was England Soccer is Good, ... until it needs to be. That was my first cry because I'm like, that sounds familiar. And it was just a great long history of just every time you think they're finally making that step, they fall apart.
I really hope they can win it. I mean, there's a lot of teams I say that for. I hope Norway can win it. I hope and France has already won it. but this is a special team. So in the history books, like 10, 15 years from now, you kind of hope they do win more than one World Cup with this group.
Yeah, this could be a team that is, talked about for ages. I mean, like you said, the losing in a classic, one of the top 5 World Cup matches of the modern era, in my opinion, and then coming back resolved. And if they win it now, and then they kind of you start going, okay, with that lineup and that roster, there's going to be some injuries and flameouts. They've got 3 more World Cup cycles to be truly competitive with this core. And the scary thing about France is there's always someone else right below that maybe not there yet, but by the next cycle, they're there and they can take the pressure off some of these older aging guys.
Yeah, that's very true. See, Spain, England, I think it's either this World Cup or the next. They got to seal the deal at some point. Spain is young. I think if they're not the favorite by 2030, for sure 2034.
That's what we talked about. We were impressed with how, when you think of 2010 Spain, it was that middle. It was the beautiful runs, the beautiful through balls, all that. Oh, the defense was good too. But you know what? That defense could give up 2 goals if they needed to. That was perfectly fine. So I can remember there was a early meme. It was like Spain's the only team that when a goal is scored against them, they're like, okay, cool, we can score now. But you look at that bottom bracket, Switzerland and Colombia and Argentina and Egypt. I mean, we're looking at an England-Argentina semifinal, who then, let's just spits and giggle. We're going to have fun with this. We'll say the United States surprises, and they get France in the semifinal. Okay, who would you rather be? Argentina having to play England or France having to play the United States? I'm just saying. I think France would love that run through.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great story for the U.S. just to get to the round of 16. But if they make it to the semifinals, don't expect them to win, because France is probably going to put about 5 goals on us.
Make us feel good about it. Like, you won't even be mad. You won't be like, oh, we collapsed. You'd be like, oh. Okay.
Play for the 3rd place game.
Yeah. The worst game in the history. Oh, man.
So you can get a medal or whatever. I don't know. Does 3rd place get anything? Just recognition in the history books or something?
They probably get a 3rd place medal, like a bronze or something. I mean, we'll have to give it directly to Donald Trump. Okay,
well, because he was the reason why Balogun could actually play tonight.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I'm not saying he didn't call them, but I don't believe that he's the guy that did it. But it would be kind of funny if it was him, because he's trying to end birthright citizenship when half to 90% of this team is based on people who are birthright benefit, dual citizenship, like you're talking about, born in Brooklyn but lived most of his life in England, things like that, all these weird immigration things, that how they got to America. I just don't believe that. I think I don't have I would hope I would say it if it was a Belgian player. I don't have a problem with them righting a wrong, even if they used a wrong. In sports, 2 wrongs can make a right, in my opinion. It's pretty witty, wasn't it?
So if you multiply it,
72 wrongs make a right.
I'm just glad he can play. The red card, I didn't really agree with it, but it is what it is. We're here now. Belgium, no excuses. You just got to play. Even though you feel like you're wronged, you just got to play. The way to shut people up is to actually win. So if Belgium goes out and wins, they can trash talk all they want. The U.S. can't say anything back.
And I do like them. I have no problem with Belgium appealing that. You use all your, lawful ways to try to get the advantage back into your side, because he does make a difference. I think, and I'm not going to claim that I knew this before this World Cup, but if this isn't just a surprise, he might be the next greatest player since Clinton Dempsey.
Yeah. I mean, because Pulisic is right now considered the best player, but I didn't know much about Balogun. I know he played at Monaco, in the club level, but I didn't really know much of him up until this World Cup. He's been great. Again, he's one of those strikers and forwards that just looks much faster than any other version of American soccer. And I'm here for it, man.
I think in this, if Balogun keeps evolving, I think you get to put Pucelik in the role that he is better off as, and that's the ball comes through me, I disperse it. Or like Jamie said in Ted Lasso, bring the ball to me, I put it to you. Because I think Pucelik, I mean, he can be a scorer, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like he's more of a Landon Donovan. He would work really, really better if he didn't have Michael Bradley next to him. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Ooh, PTSD of Michael Bradley.
You were over there defending Bradley so much. You and I went back and forth. You were pulling up stats defending Bradley.
Well, because,
don't you be backtracking, sir.
I admit it. Michael Bradley, again, I hate to use this reference. He was the Dallas Cowboys of the United States team. You could make his stats look pretty, but then you put him in like when it's needed moment, and Michael Bradley's like pooping on the field and crying. I think Pucelik in the middle can be Landon Donovan without having that. And he can distribute the ball, and he can play that, what you used to, it's a center mid, but you also call it striker B because he doesn't play in the traditional, the 3 mid, like he plays up a little bit. And so you've always kind of got that double attack going. And I like, again, seeing the United States being aggressive. I would rather lose aggressive than what we are known for. I hate that plucky. I hate that crap. That bothers me so much. You don't want to be plucky in sports. Plucky is when you're bad. You just have figured out the way to forego the inevitable until eventually the team beats you. It looks great that you lost 6-0 in a football game. This is a true story. Looks great that you lost 6-0 in a football game, but you gave up 375 yards rushing. You just happened to make 3 fourth-down stops, and they're all happy and cheering when they got beat. I'm like, y'all got beat. Yeah, but we were plucky about it. You think if we'd have lost World War II, we'd be like, hey, we were plucky about it, though. We tried our darndest.
Speaking of that, I finished the second season of Peacemaker.
Oh, man, the end was fun. That whole season was a letdown.
But I like the alternate reality where he doesn't realize this entire time that that Germany won World War II in this alternate world. Like, there's a mural of Hitler.
Yeah,
I can't believe I didn't recognize that.
Well, I thought they did a great. That's where they did a great job of. There never was Easter eggs until he saw it. They weren't trying to let you know that he didn't know. You weren't supposed to know either until he know. I do appreciate that because I think in shows we get too cute with Easter eggs, where and I like this one, like The Walking Dead had Breaking Bad's meth in its world. I like that. But I think some shows go a little too deep with that. So I did like that wait, we didn't know till he knows, but it was like this the whole time because he's an idiot. And since we see the world through him, we're basically an idiot as well. That was good. And then, look, the season wasn't terrible. It wasn't as good as the first one.
I agree with you. There was a reason why I started it and then I stopped.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, I did that with season 2 of Rings of Power. I did that with season 2 of House of the Dragon. I had to go back and rewatch all of it. And then I ended up appreciating House of the Dragon and Rings of Power. But Peacemaker, it was good. It just wasn't as good as season 1. I still love the intro. It's so stupid. It's so crazy. And I love it. And I love the music they have. I actually listened to it. Oh, yeah. I had the caption on so I could read what the singer was saying. That was good.
I think I have no problem with the season 3, like at all. I have no problem with the season 3. Speaking of, and let's stay in entertainment for a little bit. That's what we're doing this happy hour. America, fuck yeah. I got into The Bear real hard. First season, second season. Have never went back because I feel the mistake that show had made is I wanted to see a world-class chef having to scrape and grind in a sandwich shop, the ups and downs of that. And instead, they just flip and make it immediately a high-class place. So he got burnt out of being a high-class cooker or chef, then turns around and makes a sandwich shop a high-class place. That's where I'm like, I don't care to see that.
I think you and I are pretty similar because I got to about 2 or 3 episodes into season 3 and I stopped. I will eventually go back because I think the last season's starting now. So I'll definitely go back and start watching season 3. But yeah. Oh, and I saw that you had a quote up there.
Oh, Doug's.
Yeah. I was going to say with Doug's, I'm going to piggyback off of that. You said 2034 Saudi Arabia is going to host the World Cup.
Yeah.
That's a head scratcher, pun intended. I don't know if you remember about the Washington journalist.
Wow. We're having weird things tonight. So when I put up his thing, that time it showed, but earlier it said our mics were muted when we were doing it. Same thing with the music. I think Restreams got into my Tito's before we started.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to completely flip the script. We're going to go all the way back to 1991 through 1995, and here's why. So because we track our metrics, and whenever we post anything about the 70s, 80s, or 90s Cowboys on Facebook, we tend to have 1 million views. We post about Mike Shanahan, we have 1,000 views. And we also love talking this. Oh, and I want to advertise one of the things we're recording Friday. We're trying something new. I think this is going to be fun. We're going to take every decade of the Super Bowl, except for the 60s, because Green Bay wins. It's Green Bay and it's Green Bay. You can't really go past that. So, hey, Green Bay, you won the 60s. We're going to rank the best to worst Super Bowl winner in each decade, 70 to 79, 80 to 89, so forth. We're then going to have a little fun with, okay, so let's take the teams, the best teams that lost. Those will just be quick little add-ons. We're not going to have a big discussion about those. And then we're going to have a show of what is the greatest one-year Super Bowl team of all time. That won. And we'll have a show about this. This is one of those shows that could go, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. We'll do 2020s. We'll go ahead because we've gotten 5 years in. And by the time we get to this, we probably won't even get to the 20s until next offseason anyway, so we can add 2026. We could have 6 shows, 7 counting the big one, or we could have 21 shows. Because especially when we talk 90s, 90s to 2026, you and I can talk forever on it. I can talk forever on anything before that to 75. Shut up, I'm not that old. I just read a lot. So part of that is I have been putting together this thing. I wanted to figure out how we could do it. I don't want to do a whole show on this, but I think we're going to have to eventually. And that is the absurd belief that Emmitt Smith is only a good running back because of an offensive line he had. And that if it wasn't for that, the thing you always hear is if Barry Sanders was behind that offensive line, they'd have never lost a game. They'd have won every Super Bowl. Barry Switzer could have been quarterback, but all that kind of stuff. And that frustrates me. It frustrates me as a Cowboy fan, but it frustrates me as a football fan. Because the whole reason people think that is simply because Barry Sanders was prettier as a running back. He was prettier.
Yeah, and that really resonates with fans. It strikes an emotional, euphoric feeling. So I mean, Emmitt was just solid. He was he looked at he looked at what was presented to him, and he took the right route. And he had a great stiff arm. He knew when to make the business decision and go out of bounds. He rarely got hurt. He was just solid and consistent. Like his last year, he was 35 years old for a crappy Arizona team, and he almost had 1,000 yards rushing.
I think he missed 2 games or 3 games with injuries that year.
So it just shows how great he is. So, Barry Sanders had really good offensive line. I don't know why people try to revise history and say he didn't, but he did have a really good offensive line. What he didn't have was Moose Johnson as a fullback because Detroit never had the fullback.
No, and they didn't have a consistent. They were still trying to run the run and shoot with him. But I will contend, and I know he ran in an I-back at Oklahoma State. I know that. But I will contend that the gaps and how they block in the run and shoot made him what he was. Because he picked gaps and danced. He cut back lanes. Not that Emmitt never cut on a cutback, but what Emmitt did well was he knew where the hole was. He knew what his second option was, and he always picked the right option for the most part. And Logical Cowboy did a really good breakdown on, got real technical. And we're going to try to work with him in the future about something. And I really kind of want to have him on to talk about this video he did. And I'll post it in the the thing after the live show ends, where he talked about how what Emmitt Smith did so amazing that nobody talks about is he set up the tacklers so well. Now, when I coached, the team I coached for, we called it bubble bounce. Teams have different names. And what that is you're running, you have a blocker who can't see you, of course, he's blocking ahead. You see the defender. So if like you're running here, there's there, and the tackler's there, you cut so that he has to react, and then boom, he gets blocked. And he showed like 30 different runs where Emmitt put that foot right, forcing, the linebacker to step right into Larry Allen, and then boom, Larry Allen blocks, and he cuts off that backside. Barry danced. It was beautiful, and he had amazing runs, but he also had many losses because he danced. He stayed in the gaps too long at time.
I still complain about the Monday night game, Detroit and Dallas, where the announcers were gushing over a 2-yard loss by Barry Sanders just because how beautiful the play looked. But I say that, but I also, I do love Barry Sanders.
Oh, I do too, and that's why I say this.
This is not a knock on him. This is more to do with people's just because Emmitt wasn't flashy, he gets knocked a little bit. But I'll tell you what, Emmitt, you can put the facts there. Look at the games, or look at the outcome of games where Emmitt Smith was not playing, and tell me how the Cowboys did.
Exactly.
And then that's the end of the argument.
Exactly. As much as we love Aikman, when Aikman was out, the Cowboys were still usually pretty competitive. They didn't win every one of them, of course, but they won, especially early. They usually won when he was out. I think the best thing I ever saw, and it's the one time John Madden, and he wasn't like knocking Barry, but this was kind of like in 94, 95, where you're starting to hear that. No, I'm sorry, like 98. Sorry, like 98, where you're starting to hear that, well, Emmitt's only good, even though his offensive line was, at that point, kind of crappy. But Madden had pointed out, he said, look, Barry Sanders is a great running back. But when Barry Sanders goes 10 for 80, that's usually a 60-yard run, and then everything else, adds up to the other 20. When Emmitt Smith goes 10 for 80, that's basically 6, 6, 6, 10, 6, 12, 6. He goes, what do you want more? Do you want to move down the field methodically? Because in those 10 carries, that could be 3 drives that result in 2 touchdowns and a field goal, which is exactly how the Cowboys used to run their offense in the first half. You and I always joke about it. People, again, don't realize Dallas threw to take the lead, ran the ball to sit on it. Go look at all of Aikman's first half stats between 91 and 96 specifically, and you will see he'd be like 14 for 18 for 200 yards and a touchdown. And then in the second half, 3 for 6 for 40 yards because they just were sitting on the ball and running it because they had a 3-score lead.
Yeah, those 3 completions usually were to Jay Novacek
to get a first down.
Yeah, they were just trying to convert a 3rd and short. This is what it was. Aikman in a more pass-happy offense, his stats would have been ridiculous for the 90s. It would have been more comparable to today's stats for quarterbacks. But yeah, I don't think – Emmitt Smith is not overrated. He was a great back. He was just different than Barry Sanders, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can be great doing it different ways. I love watching Barry Sanders. As a Cowboy fan, I prefer more Emmitt Smith just because he could flip the field, not by doing a 60-yard run, but by consistently churning out the clock, eating minutes, progressing down the field. That frustrates an opposing team.
Yeah,
they just kind of just throw their game plan to the side because they just don't know how to do it. You're running a simple offense, but because you have great talent, exceptional talent, superior talent, you can't be stopped.
I will say this, one of the funniest things, I've been really big into like Ken Norton stuff, Ken Norton Jr. We've done a short about him, but there's a couple series we want to do, and we do the short series, the Hall of Fame or Hall of Very Good. But one of the series I want to start is like the underrated, underappreciated players. I think Ken Norton Jr. fully falls into this. Now, I hope we don't get blocked for showing this, but I'm going to try this. I don't think we will because it's a share, but we'll check it. So this is the famous. Wait, what happened? Did it not go? Oh, okay. All right. So this is one of the famous runs. Barry Sanders against the Cowboys, 1991. So here we go. This is a great run too. This is one of his best runs ever. All right, so there's Tony Casillas. He can't even see him. And then here's that blur to the right is Ken Norton Jr. All right. So Ken Norton Jr. was talking. He said, the moment I spun, he was like, I'm going to be on NFL films, aren't I? I guess that's like the posterization in football right there is that. But I mean, again, I'm like you. I hate having to have the argument because it makes it sound like I don't like Barry Sanders. Detroit, legitimately, even though they beat Dallas in 91 and they beat Dallas in 93, I liked them. They were fun to watch. I mean, Rodney Peete, Scott Mitchell, Herman Moore, two of the best wide receivers that nobody talks about. An underrated offensive line, Lomas Brown, should be in the Hall of Fame. What's his name? I'm sorry, I can't remember off the top of his head, who got paralyzed. Mike Utley. Was it Mike Utley for the Lions?
He was the guy that got paralyzed.
Well, I couldn't remember if it was Bird for the Jets. So Mike Utley was on his way to being a multiple All-Pro type. I don't know if he made the Hall of Fame, but he was a really good center. In fact, he was actually always kind of compared to Stepnoski because they kind of had the same build. They're white, they had longer hair, and they played the same. They were small on really big offensive lines. And then it also makes me feel bad because I feel like I'm knocking the Dallas Cowboy offensive line, who I absolutely love, but I'm not. I just understand that they made Emmitt Smith look good as much as Emmitt Smith made them look good. It's symbiotic. That stuff works together. They had a scheme that they didn't F around. There wasn't no zone blocking. It was block hat on hat. Fullback got to the last one. Emmitt, you have to break a tackle. And all of that core just did it perfect for 4 years.
It's almost like they work together as a team.
What?
Odd concept.
So, by these people's belief, Joe Montana and Steve Young shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. They had Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice made Rich Gannon an MVP. Now, Noe, to be fair, the dirty secret on that is Rich Gannon actually had a really, really good year the year before Jerry Rice, and he finished, I think, 3rd or 4th in the MVP voting. He just fit what John Gruden did. Everything about it.
They had the number 1 seed. Yep. This was, I think, the Bill Callahan season.
The one that Tim Brown swears to this day that Callahan threw it for Gruden, which I still don't. That makes no sense to me.
I think Tim Brown was just yearning for a Super Bowl ring. I don't blame him. And that comes in the 2002 season, one of my favorite seasons to ever talk about.
It is one. We're going to do a show. We did one show on it, but if you heard us at the beginning of the show, we talked about when we have our off live recordings, sometimes we start too early on the drank part of the show and not on the coverage part. And so by the time we got to the 2002, we were just like, all right, let's talk 2002. They remind me of the 67, blah, blah, blah. We'd done that for 2 hours. And then we would, we're on the 2002. Hey, the Rangers are playing pretty good. It was weird. It was like we were doing recorded happy hours. Remember when we tried that? That was boring.
Yeah, because I was talking for 45 minutes about the Atlanta Falcons tying the Pittsburgh Steelers that season.
Yep.
And then the Falcons ended up playing the Eagles in the playoffs. 6 years later, fast forward, Eagles tied the Bengals in 2008, and Donovan McNabb's acting like he didn't know that games could end in a tie. I'm like, you literally played a team in the playoffs that had a tie on their record.
Yep.
And then you kept talking about, sometimes these guys, they're just focused so much on the game plan and the game itself that they don't even look at little stuff like records. I'm like, come on. That's something you should just know.
They don't, though. It's weird, dude. You will have the guys, and you and I have talked about this before, and I learned this as a kid because I was not as athletic as a lot of the football players, that played before me. But I love football. Like, I loved football. Even back then, man, I could tell you every Super Bowl, every MVP, all that kind of stuff. And I'd be like, talking to an all-state linebacker who's going to Oklahoma. Man, did you see that Washington game yesterday? What game? What are you talking about? The football game. Oh, I don't watch the NFL. I'm like, oh, okay. So you just kind of read on it. You're like, I've never watched the NFL. And this guy was a great player. He played because he was good at it. I don't mean that he didn't love playing, but he didn't care to watch it. And so I think there's way more in that in all of sports, all players. Not every player that's great is great because they loved the NHL when they were a kid, or the MLB, or whatever that is. And yeah, that was always a fun discussion because every time there's a tie, it feels like somebody on one of the teams says, I didn't know we could even do that. I didn't know that was a thing.
It just baffles me. And I'm like, you know what? That's why you didn't win a Super Bowl, McNabb.
Ooh.
Tom Brady would have known. You know what? Nick Foles would have known.
Intern Noe the Pro, it's time for a live surprise Hall of Fame or Hall of Good. The I don't know ties Donovan McNabb, Hall of Fame or Hall of Very Good?
Hall of Very Good. Really good career. One of the greatest Eagle players of all time. One of the greatest quarterbacks on that team ever. Just couldn't get the job done in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs. He got far enough. They had a lot of great seasons. He kind of fell off as soon as he left Philadelphia. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, it's not coming from the mic now. It's coming from your computer. I think to check the plug-in.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I remember the Washington season. I remember the Minnesota season. He just fell completely off after he left Philadelphia. And he had a really good 2009 season. It's just the 2010s were not good to him.
No.
But, yeah, I mean, Hall of Very Good. How about you?
Hall of Very Good, but if he got into the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't be mad. The problem is he doesn't have the accolades. He only has one All-Pro, but in that year, he was MVP 2 and 4th in Offensive Player of the Year. He had 5 Pro Bowls, all before 2010. So I think I said this in the last one. Anything before 2010, a Pro Bowl, I think, is a quality pro. That's good. 2010 is when you started getting the trend of nobody wanted to play, and so you'd have, the 4th string quarterback who came in one time and threw one touchdown, he'd get to the Pro Bowl. But I just don't think he has the consistent numbers, the accolades. He was wildly weird in one season, like even a year where he had a great year, he'd have 3 or 4 games where he just absolutely was terrible throwing the ball. His what do you call it? His ability to hit his spots were just all over the place. But he was athletic, and he was fun to watch. And I always joke about that. Hate the Eagles, but damn it, half the times they end up liking their team because of their players. And I like Donovan McNabb. Though I will say that famous thing where he comes out in the 2009 playoff in Dallas, and he's like playing a guitar, like he's listening to the music. I always remember thinking, Dallas is winning because that's fake. You could see he was like, shit. Because remember, Michael Vick had been playing better. And that's one of those things people need to remember is Michael Vick came into that game and almost immediately got Dallas back into the game. If they would have started Michael Vick in that game, I think that would have been a lot closer game.
Yeah, because they only had him in that one game, and I think he threw the touchdown.
Yep.
In that game. So, yeah. Man, he ended up having a really good 2010 season for Philadelphia. Won the division. They lost in the wild card round, but they had a pretty good season. They kind of teetered off toward the end, but just thinking about it, I can't remember why they kind of collapsed toward the end of the season. Not collapsed, but like they just weren't dominant.
The Dream Team, the Vince Young Dream Team?
That was the next season.
Oh, yeah, 2011. You're right.
So after 2010, they just signed a bunch of players like Nnamdi Asomugha and all these guys.
They all made sense at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they all made – yeah, and I could see why Vince Young would have even said that because if you look at that roster, it's a team that won 10 games the prior season, won the division – had a close loss at home in the wild card round to Green Bay, who ended up winning the Super Bowl that season. So I can understand, yeah, if you add, especially like I just mentioned him, Nnamdi Asomugha, you add someone like him, an elite corner, I'm assuming they're going to probably win the Super Bowl, be the number 1 seed at the very least. Didn't know that they would just struggle off the bat. And then Asomugha, he just really didn't gel. I think he was more of a man-to-man corner, not a coverage.
And in Philadelphia at that time with the Junior Johnson defense, they did a lot of cover one like with a zone and stuff, and he didn't have a good job. Man, I will say this, that probably was the last era of me because he was deciding between Dallas and Philadelphia. Like that was his 2 choices. And that was probably the last era of me like going to every morning, waking up and seeing what's the new news. And when Dallas didn't sign him, I thought, oh crap, I think it turned out to help them. But hey, guess what? Intern Noe the Pro, it's time for Hall of Fame or Hall of Very Good. I present the complicated Michael Vick.
Hall of Very Good. It's a very complicated story. He went to jail. That's the complicated part.
Well, him going to jail also lost him 2 years in his prime, to where you just imagine if he was halfway as good as he had been before and after, that he probably at least has an All-Pro 2, maybe even an MVP in those 2 years.
You saw what he could do in this short time with Philadelphia with the outstanding head coach and some actual talent at wide receiver. In Atlanta, it was more of his legs and Algie Crumpler as a tight end. Just a big target. He could just.
I loved watching him.
I will say one of the prettiest balls, that I've ever seen a quarterback throw. Like, he could just flick his wrist and it would go 65, 70 yards. I didn't understand how, but then you look at his body. He has big butt, big thighs. Like, he has a big lower body. That lower body projected so much power for him. Yeah. And he was able to just literally just flick the wrist, and he was able to just get so much distance with his throws. He was very fun to watch, very fast. He was very ahead of his time. He was a video game character.
Hey, that's one of the greatest commercials is the Mike Vick ride that Nike did. Where you remember that commercial?
No.
Oh, hang on. We're at the. I will say this: Hall of Very Good. He served his time. Yes, he did a crime that, especially in today's world, there's a lot of people that still believe he should be under the jail. You know me, I'm a dog lover, but I also understand the idea of the culture that he was raised in, because I was raised not around dog fighting, but people who did dog fight. And I'm a big dog lover, so I understand that they see it different. But I would love for him to get some kind of recognition in the Hall for, while he wasn't the first scrambler, Fran Tarkenton, Roger Staubach, Brett Favre, Michael Vick took it to a different level because he could throw a 300-yard game and run for 150 yards in the same game. We haven't seen a player like that until Lamar Jackson. So I would love for him to get some kind of special, acknowledgement, but I don't think he's Hall of Fame. All right. Again, I hope we don't get, I'm not going to play the sound. Okay. You don't need the sound to see this, but I can't believe you don't remember. As soon as you see this, you'll be like, oh yeah. Cause this was on NFL Network at this time every day. It's called the Michael Vick Experience.
Okay. I mean, there's a case to say he's in the Hall of Fame just because of his influence to the future. Like, you see guys like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. There's versions of Michael Vick in all three of those guys, and they're three of the top quarterbacks in today's NFL.
All right, here we go. Look.
Oh, I think this I remember. Okay.
Yeah. Iconic.
So I was also say I forgot my train of thought. I was gonna say,
different teams.
Yeah, I was thinking when I was looking at this, I was thinking of the Minnesota game, the overtime game where he just ran it in for a touchdown. Oh, yeah, kind of looked like it. But
Minnesota, Steve Young did the same thing to them,
but they won that game at least.
Oh yeah, they did. That's right. People forget that. But anyway, yeah, I think I forgive Mike Vick. I guess that's what I'm saying. I forgive him. I think he is, better person. I really enjoy his YouTube stuff that he's doing with Fox Sports and the NFL. I do see him eventually getting in as a contributor. I really do. And I'm fine with that. I believe that players who might not have done it long enough or who might not have been consistent, but what they did set the future, as you said, the tone for going forward, I think they should be acknowledged. I think Archie Manning should be acknowledged. And that's a change for me, because I used to say I didn't believe that Arch Manning should be in the Hall of Fame. That's a big, should be, should not. We'll do that eventually. I'm not up to it right now. But the more that I've watched highlights of him and stuff, I get it. Jesus Christ, dude, the stats he was putting up for crappy New Orleans Saints team. Look, I'm not saying he'd have been better, but if you put him on the Cowboys, he at least wins a Super Bowl. If you put him on the Steelers, he at least wins a Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the Matthew Stafford argument.
really
Stafford was on some bad Lions teams. One season he goes to the Rams, immediately Super Bowl champion, and now they're probably the favorites to win this year. And he just come off an MVP season. So yeah, the talent's there. It's just he doesn't have talent around him.
Exactly.
That was the problem.
All right.
Oh, I was going to mention Playmakers, a show we were going to cover at some point.
Oh, we are, yes.
Yeah. There's a character that's basically carbon copy Michael Vick on this. And for those that have never watched Playmakers, it was on ESPN for one season.
The crazy thing is that's 6 years before Vic got the dog thing, caught the dog rap.
It was like 03, 02, 03, 04.
Yeah, I think it was let me see. Because
I think Michael Vick, it was after the 06 season.
Yeah.
I remember 07, it was a Louisville coach that was the head coach for the Falcons for like 13 games, and he quit. Petrino.
Yeah,
Petrino. I remember how bad the 07 Falcons were.
Yep.
And then they drafted Matt Ryan the very next season. So, so it happened after the 06 season, the dog fighting.
Yeah.
I'm unlike you, man. I love dogs. He definitely deserved to go to prison. He wasn't the one that was there organizing it, but it was his house. He knew what was going on.
Well, he admitted he partaked in some of the abuse and stuff and all. Yeah, it was 2003 because I remember my roommate at that time had moved back to Longview, his hometown, but he was living like in an apartment. And I came down there and we literally watched for the 11 episodes back to back to back of Playmakers. Because that was back when it was still on ESPN. That was before the NFL got pissed. I keep trying to find a DVD version. There's not an official release, but there are like some bootlegs out there. You can see it on YouTube, but the quality is so bad. Some of the scenes are it's really legitimately hard to see who's in there and stuff. But one of my favorite parts is the offensive coordinator does the 10 Cup. Have you seen 10 Cup, by the way?
Yeah, Kevin Costner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do that movie. That's one of my favorite sports movies. So remember when Don Johnson beats Kevin Costner with the longest drive? Costner tried with I think a 7-iron? No, I think it was like a 4-iron. I think it was a 4 or 3-iron because you can still drive those pretty hard. And so, Kevin hits it really hard and far, and he's like, beat that. And Don goes, okay. And he just turns and chips it down the concrete road. But because he's so accurate with his shot, it just bounces forever and ever and ever. So in Playmakers, they do the same thing because you basically have this story of a quarterback who is a big cannon. Think Daryl Monica, the mad bomber. All he wants to do is throw the ball down the field. But he has an offensive coordinator who is now like more of the West Coast. So the offensive coordinator, who's being a smart ass, says, I will challenge you right now. Who can get the ball the furthest down the field? And so the quarterback, he's older, but he's still good. He chunks it like 70 yards. And then the offensive coordinator says, hey, come here. And this golf cart shows up. He goes, go that way. And he starts to go that way, and he just pitches it in the back. And, of course, the golf cart just goes forever and ever and ever and ever. I don't know why, but those two scenes have always I love them because it is kind of how that is. We learned, and this is why quarterbacks are more efficient, just throw the ball 1 yard down the field and let the receiver do the rest. Like, that's the beauty of the sport now.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful because it's a West Coast offense is a very good example of team football. Like you have the quarterback making the right decision, you have the wide receiver, running back making the athletic move, you have your blockers blocking. It involves all 11 players, and yeah, I like that. Are we still on? Okay. I get this notification sometimes where it says, oops, something went wrong. We're reloading. But
oh, yeah, it's your internet, but it catches up real quick. It does. It actually fixes it in post.
Okay.
All right. So I wanted to do this because we were talking about, again, this is why I love us. We started talking about the Cowboys and Barry Sanders, and we ended like weaving our way through the Eagles and the Falcons. So let's do this. We're going to not finish the show, but I want to do this because, again, we get really good reception when we do this. Internally the Pro Hall of Fame or Hall of Very Good, I present the, again, complicated case of tackle, mauler, a mean sumbitch, Eric Williams. Hall of Fame or Hall of Very Good?
Hall of Very Good, and it's because he had the injury. He was a Cowboy, right tackle, one of the meanest, baddest son of a guns you ever meet. One of the greatest offensive lineman of all time until he got hurt. Unfortunately, that's what it is. He went from all-time GOAT at that position to very solid contributor on a championship team. He's not a Hall of Famer.
I have to say Hall of Fame, and here's why. One of the biggest misconceptions is Eric Williams, after the injury, was somehow lesser. He wasn't. He got the injury famously in 94, 7 games into the season. I do think that if he's healthy, that 94 title game turns out different, because on a couple of the plays that happened, it was the backside tackle. Now, that is one knock on him, is he wasn't a true left tackle at all times. He sometimes was a right tackle. But after that injury, he came back and started 15 games in 95, 16 games, 15 games, 15 games, 14 games, 16 games, and then that last year in Baltimore, which was really, really weird in 2001, he didn't really play. After the injury, he had 1 All-Pro and 3 Pro Bowls. The problem that happened to Eric Williams was he got discovered too late early. He really should have been an All-Pro in 92 and 91 as well. But the NFL, that's the old rule, is if you miss the 1 year, you get the next 2 years. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I really do. I think he legitimately goes down as one of the greatest right tackles in the game of football.
I hear what you're saying, but in my opinion, he should have been a first-team All-Pro the entire decade of the 90s if he'd not got hurt. He ended up just going from an all-time great to just very good starter. He could start on any other team, but he wasn't elite. He was just very, very good, not elite. And I don't see that as being a Hall of Famer. He was. I love him. I love what he did for the Cowboys, but Hall of very good.
And I have no problem with that. Again, I think he's one of those. Either way, I'm probably fine with. All right, here we go to the next one. Hall of Fame or Hall of Good. And I know this is going to hurt because it's really easy in my opinion. Mark Tuinei never made an All-Pro. That kind of blows my mind. He did make 2 Pro Bowls, 94, 95. Again, not even when I would say he was at his best. To me, and I love Larry Allen, but because Eric Williams got hurt in 94, the best iteration of that line was 91 to 93. 94 was good. 95 was really good, but it was 91 to 93 when it just felt like outside of Philadelphia on a Monday night in 92, nobody could touch Aikman, and Emmitt Smith, just was blowing, numbers away. But I think Mark Tuinei is a Hall of Very Good.
Oh, I think it's because of my love for Mark Tuinei, and he died early too. That's the thing that kind of stings as well. He was taken from us. He seemed like the sweetest person from all accounts. I know the NFL Network did a little documentary on him, but I'm going to go ahead and say in my heart, Hall of Fame, but objectively Hall of Very Good because of lack of accolades. I kind of feel
like you and I feel the same way about Tuinei and Eric Williams together. Like, I want them both to be in the Hall of Fame. And this is why fans shouldn't vote on the Hall of Fame. Because we do understand what they meant for the team, but that just because they fit the team perfectly doesn't make them the greatest. Tony Tolbert, to me, is the best example. I think Tony Tolbert should be in the Hall of Fame for his consistency, but he doesn't have the All-Pros. He does have the Pro Bowls, but he doesn't have the All-Pros. And so it just doesn't match up. But then you have to also remember, All-Pro in NFL is one of the most, All-Pro in NFL and All-NBA are the 2 most exclusive. Because they're not doing 2 conference like the American League does. AL MVP, ML MVP. They do all that by their leagues. NFL, it's all one league. There's not an AFC All-Pro, an NFC All-Pro. There is a NFL All-Pro. So if you're a left tackle, you're going against 31 other left tackles. And so you can be amazing, and you can be amazing for 10 years and never get an All-Pro one. And that's where sometimes maybe we quantify the accolades too much. That's that balance that's really hard to find.
Yeah, and fans shouldn't vote in general just because we're not objective at all. We'll just be voting in
Hall of Fame for me. First black quarter. What'd you call your first black Dallas Cowboy quarterback? That alone should make him Hall of Fame.
Quincy Carter?
Huh?
Quincy Carter?
Wait,
who are you talking about?
Reggie Collier. Do you not remember Reggie Collier?
Reggie Collier. Okay.
I sent you that before. He was a strike replacement. African-American quarterback for Dallas. He scrambled well. So for like one, you remember how this was, even before Aikman, and then after Aikman, Anthony Wright, as I joke, he has one good game, and we're all like, oh, maybe he's the future. No, he wasn't. No, but it was fun to watch. All right, here we go. Intern Noe the Pro, Hall of Fame or Hall of Good, Nate Newton.
Hall of Fame. And I am sorry. I can't believe he's not already in the Hall of Fame. He had some legal issues. Let's not go into that right now.
Well, but that's weed. Nobody cares about that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Hall of Fame. Funny, like when I think about him, I just smile because just all the stuff off the field, stuff that commenter said, John Madden, John Gruden loved the guy. It's just like all these little stories you hear outside, and his love for eating, and just memories of me watching the Cowboys Thanksgiving with my folks. And John Madden just gushing about the offensive line, specifically Newton. Yeah, Hall of Fame. And well, I don't care. I'm not even. I'm definitely biased about this, but he has some accolades, and he was a big reason why the Cowboys were so good in the trenches.
No. 6 Pro Bowls, 2 All-Pros. I contend he should have got more All-Pros. Again, Dallas kind of got slept on offensive line and defensive all sides of the ball between 92 and 93. I don't understand why in 92, when Emmitt Smith is just dominating the league, Nate Newton's not an All-Pro. I go back to, if everybody has this whole belief that Emmitt was only good because of the offensive line, then why on the decade offensive line team there's literally 2 guys one guy on the first team and 2 on the second team, and neither one of them have gotten. I don't even think Nate Newton's been a semifinalist. I don't think any of these offensive linemen have been semifinalists.
I haven't, but yeah, Nate Newton needs to get off or have his gastro thing reversed. No Ozempic, no GLP-1. I want him to get big again, get inducted. I want him to go in the biggest jacket they can give you for a Hall of Fame. I want him to go on stage, eat a turkey leg, and do his speech. That's what I want.
I want that too now.
Objectively.
All right. Intern Noe the Pro. Here we go. Hall of Fame or Hall of Very Good. I present the case of Stoner Cowboy center Mark Stepnoski, a guy who was all-decade team. And my rule, I believe, and I want to clarify for those people that maybe have never heard this before, the NFL Hall of Fame does the all-decade team. The people that vote for the Hall of Fame does the all-decade team. So if you are put on the all-decade team, and I will say this, I believe this rule. This might be a second short inside of a short inside of a short. I think if you make first team NFL all-decade, you are automatically into the Hall of Fame. If you make second team, you are automatically, for at least 10 years, immediately sent to the semifinal round. Because if you're that good in the moment, you're still that good 20 years later.
Sounds like a shortception you just did.
Watch the timer. If it's moving, we're alive. If not, we're asleep. But do you agree? I mean, they make such a big deal about the all-decade team, yet there's multiple players on those teams that either don't get on, like Darren Woodson, or like, Charlie Harris and Drew Pearson took forever to get on, which made no sense.
I agree with you. And the fact that they don't automatically get in or get at least to the semifinal round kind of devalues that all-decade team, in my opinion. But to answer your question, I think Mark Stepnoski should be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
I almost feel like his career was too short, but the time he was in the league, he was, for someone that was very undersized, was very dominant. It was very technically proficient. He was the captain of the offensive line for the Cowboys, 91, to 94. And I think he's definitely a Hall of Famer.
I mean, he played 13 years. He started 194 games. This was always the funniest stat I remember. And the only reason I remember this is, again, I know I've referenced this before, but 7 Days to Sunday, a really great documentary. You can find it on YouTube. Again, the quality's not good, but it's basically the run up to Minnesota versus Dallas on a Sunday night back when TNT had Sunday Night Football. That's how old this was. And they did a documentary. That's when I told you I fell in love with Dennis Green, because when the Vikings won, he played the drums. Like, I don't know, is that like a punishment? Like, where the fans like, oh crap, we won on the show tomorrow. He's going to play the drum. Also, that was a time you don't really see these anymore. I guess they probably do them online, but that was a time when every coach in the NFL had a coach's show, but it was local. Like, I would watch the Jimmy Johnson show, the Barry Switzer show. The difference between those two, oh my God, Jimmy, y'all just beat Washington 31-0. Yeah, but we sucked. I hate the world. I'm gonna get some nachos. Barry, you got beat 24-0. Yeah, but we tried. We had fun. Michael was just telling, we had so much fun in that game. But anyway, going back to Mark Stepnoski, 3 All-Pro second teams, 5 Pro Bowls. I think he's Hall of Fame. I have no problem with any. If everybody's going to claim that Emmitt Smith was only helped by his running back, then every one of those should be in the Hall of Fame. That's my whole belief.
Only Nate Newton's been my biased selection here, but Mark Stepnoski for sure, Hall of Famer.
And I legitimately think both of those were probably truly the best offensive lineman. Nate Newton needed a team to where he didn't have to, zone block. People forget the whole zone block was such a big thing in the late 80s. That's why when offensive linemen got smaller, remember? Like, even the Hogs, they were big, but they weren't big because they were zone blocking, meaning you had to work in space. All you did, Nate Newton, was you basically built what our offensive line coach would be for pulling guards. He built a train track. Stay on the track. When it turns, turn, hit. That's all Nate Newton had to do. And if you want to see, look, Barry Sanders breaking 100 tackles is gorgeous. But you want to see something really pretty? Go watch a lead toss to Emmitt Smith with Moose Johnson taking the outside and then Nate Newton pulling around, taking the inside, and then Mark Stepnoski going 3 levels up. A center was hitting the safety. Like Leroy Butler, who's in the Hall of Fame, Darren Woodson. And that, to me, is a better work of art than one guy breaking 32 tackles.
It's almost impossible for a lineman to get to the secondary. And someone like Stepnoski, who took advantage of the fact that he was undersized and had, was quicker and, faster than most of his linemen, he was able to get to that third level against a guy like Leroy Butler and make a key block. It's just goes back to what we said earlier in this podcast. If you have elite talent, you can just run simple plays and it'll still be effective.
No, that's a great, that should be a tag for a coaching video. If you have great talent, simple plays, you'll be effective. All right, intern Noe the Pro, Commissioner, Hall of Fame or Hall of Not, I present the curious case of Kevin Gogan, who actually was better in the late 90s when he left Dallas and was an All-Pro with Oakland in 96, an All-Pro with San Francisco in 97 and 98. He's one of those guys that had his career was way better than I remember.
I agree with you. His career was way better than I remember, but he's a Hall of Very good.
Yeah.
Not enough to get in the Hall of Fame, but would I have wanted him to stay on the Cowboys longer? Yeah, for sure.
All right, hang on. Let me see here. I want to do this. Okay, here's another interesting one. Intern Noe the Pro, Hall of Fame or Hall of Very Good. One of the worst luck guys. Technically, he won a Super Bowl, but he didn't get to participate. Center Ray Donaldson. All-Pro before he became a Cowboy. He was a great center with the Indianapolis Colts. In fact, for 5 years, he was the best center in the AFC.
Hall of Fame.
I think you actually.
Yeah, I think it's Hall of Fame because, again, like what you said, he was with the Colts. Think about post Eric Dickerson, 87 to 90, until present, obviously. It was that. I'm just trying to think of, so 87 to 90 so post Eric Dickerson, pre Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying in that sense because pre-Marshall Faulk because it was around the same time Harbaugh went there. There was not much talent on that Colt team, yet they were still able to win, especially 92. They somehow derped their way to 9 wins. I don't even know how they did that. Ray Donaldson is an elite center. I'm glad he was on the Cowboys in 95. And honestly, when we talk about the best teams of the 90s, the Super Bowl champions, now that I'm thinking about this, I'm going to talk about that 95 Cowboy team. I know they're not going to be considered the best champion of the 90s, but they should be. They just had that blip in December.
Really?
If they did not have that blip, if they had just won 1 or 2 of those games, if they had beaten Washington, it would change our minds completely about that 95 team. They were so dominant. They were so dominant that season.
So they get hurt by 3 things. The little blip at the end, and even their last 2 wins. Again, we have a short on it. Kevin Williams, the diving catch. You beat an Arizona team that had nothing to play for.
Sorry, they had a movie to play for.
That's another fun short. They got a lot of numbers. But then also what hurts them is they don't play San Francisco because Green Bay upsets them. And then they look like crap for half of the Super Bowl. Again, we always joke that how much the 95 season and that Super Bowl mirror each other. Start out like gangbusters, you're going to dominate, then struggle, and then somebody you're not expecting, a.k.a. Kevin Williams, a.k.a. Larry Brown, to make the big plays to win the game. So I think that's what hurts their ranking in the 90s ranking, because you saw the ranking I made, and I think that's one we're going to pretty much go with. You couldn't disagree with where I put them there either, though.
Hey, I'm just saying, the Cowboys in 95 couldn't have assumed that Bam Morris would be a big problem in the second half. Yeah, that criminal. He shouldn't even have been on the field.
Yeah, you wonder if him and Nate Newton working together, because they both got arrested in that same area, East Texas, Northwest Louisiana. I'm just saying.
You know what? You're a good friend, because I thought you were gonna go. I set you up because I was expecting you to go Michael Irvin on that route.
No, I don't need my haircut right now. I'm good. We will. I mean, that is again. I love Jeff Pearlman. I love his book on the Cowboys. Of course, he's a storyteller, so he can get a little, But man, when he talks about like how many players just talk about how scared they were that night. And Michael Irvin had been known to be a hothead. There's a famous thing. I told you this story. It's from Pearlman's book too. Dallas Cowboys used to travel around Texas and play basketball against like alumni, teachers, firemen, and they'd raise money, raise a couple thousand. You get to meet Drew Pearson and Roger Staubach, and they were competitive. Don't get me wrong. They wanted to win. But Irvin was so famous for A, they just kept the money. They never donated. But B, basically trying to dog walk the substitute teacher, Henry, who was the 7th guy off of the Gordon, Texas basketball team of 100 people. And so everybody knew he was vicious, but the cut, man, I don't know how that's never been bigger than it was.
You say vicious, I say winner. We're just a little different.
The guy survived. I'm just saying.
You play to win the game.
No, seriously, all jokes aside, because you and I both, I love Michael. Michael's one of my favorite Cowboys. But like, how the hell did that? I mean, that just shows you what Jerry Jones can do, because I mean that MacGyver. A, apparently he was lucky to live. B, they had to pay him under the table. They had to give him like $10 million. Just don't say anything.
I think Jerry and Michael Irvin have a bond.
Oh, I think so too. That's different than Aikman and Jones and Emmitt Smith and Jones. In fact, I doubt Jones talks to Aikman or Emmett a ton. Not that he doesn't love him, but I doubt he does. He has no reason to. I kind of have a feeling him and Michael Irvin have the random 3 a.m. Are you up? Hell yeah. Are you drinking? I'm drinking. Hell yeah. Type of conversation.
Because if you look at both of their backstories, obviously different races, different eras. But if you look at like some of the principles and core beliefs they have, I think they're the exact same. And I think that's what kind of bonds them together.
Well, if you look at it, lately there's been this weird, and I don't get it. Look, I'm not saying Troy Aikman couldn't, but there's all idea because the Miami Dolphins hired Troy Aikman to be a consultant. Everyone's like, well, he should be GM. Why? A great quarterback doesn't automatically mean he knows talent. I'm not saying he doesn't, but this idea that if you put him as GM, it'd work perfect. But they were, I can't remember who it was they were talking about. They were talking about another coach basically was saying like, yeah, there's no way I can make it work in Dallas. And Aikman kind of came out and said, Jerry's got to give up control. And Emmett's like, and then Irvin's like, yeah, Jerry's never going to do that. Irvin was the only one that he wasn't defending him, but he was explaining, y'all can say this all you want, but we've known since 1989. This is Jerry Jones. He's not going to change.
Yeah, that's very true. And also, sort of along this topic, I really wish we had a longer interview with DeMarcus Lawrence as to his comments about him never being able to win a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. That's why he had to leave. Because he never really elaborated on that.
And I do, for the memes, I love that he immediately won a Super Bowl. I like Marcus Lawrence, but you and I always jokingly said, dude, look in the mirror. You were part of these teams. Where were you in 2018 when a dude that hadn't ran the ball in 2 years is going for 240 yards against you? Where were you in 2016 when Aaron Rodgers throws a third and forever? So you got to look in the mirror too. But he's also right. I think his point was, and look, in all of that, nobody fucking knew Seattle was going to the Super Bowl and winning it this year. Let's be honest. We've talked about this. This past year was the year that the NFL wants going forward.
Dude, 2025 was the drunkest season in NFL history.
It's going to get drunker.
They outdrank the season.
Yes. Oh, I like that. That's going to be our new year-end recap shows. 1990, 2027 outdrank. Because this is how it's going to be going forward. Now, Patrick Mahomes being healthier will bring them back up. But you still, in my opinion, you've got 5 teams on each side of the conference that could win. And then you've got 2 or 3 more that it wouldn't shock me. All jokes aside, folks, it wouldn't shock me if Dallas finally broke through and got to the Super Bowl. Young defense, it finally, connects. And we've seen since 2010, the first defensive coordinator sucks, and then the second one's pretty darn good, and we get to keep them. Now, the only problem is Christian Parker's more like Dan Quinn. He's not going to stay for 6 years.
He's too young and popular right now.
I mean, yeah, and if Dallas does, let's say Dallas finishes a top 10 in defense and they go to the NFC title game, he's getting interviews and probably a job next season.
Oh, if you get the Cowboys to NFC title game for the first time since the 95 season, he's already the top candidate for 2027.
If they get to the NFC title game, do you put Brian Schottenheimer on the Ring of Honor? I mean,
Yo.
By the way, that's a show. We've had some ideas for shows, and we still got 9,000 people. It's a quiet night, but we have a lot of people watching. A couple of our ideas of show. Did you see the one I sent you earlier, which I think would be really, really fun?
No. What'd you send me?
Okay, now that I say that, I go look because I don't remember.
Someone's OutDrank The Coverage.
OutDrank The Coverage, sir. All right, let me go. It was a really good idea, though. I promise you, a really great idea. Greatest idea ever. Hang on.
The funny thing, once you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember reading that.
You didn't react to it, but there we go. Here we go. Hang on. Oh yeah, going back to the All Decades team. Another fun series. Did they get it right? The 1990s All Decade team. Go through the list. That kind of stuff.
Okay, maybe I misread that, but yeah, that sounds like a good
discussion. That'd be fun. Because somebody, and what gave me that idea was somebody posted, and you know this, and if you don't know this, is a little tidbit. Jimmy Smith, the great wide receiver for Jacksonville, who should definitely be in the Hall of Fame, was drafted by Dallas. He was hurt. He couldn't play. They ended up doing an injury settlement, which always sounds worse. That's how the team play. That's how teams pay players that can't perform after the cap. You do these injury settlements, it doesn't count against the cap. But he has always said that Michael Irvin was his mentor. Like, that's where I learned to play. And I guess also do cocaine because Jimmy Smith famously did cocaine.
You're getting off topic. Let's just stay on topic, please.
Anyway, and he just pointed out in different eras and different styles in different teams, but Jimmy Smith has better stats than Michael Irvin. And it wasn't to say that that's why Michael Irvin doesn't belong in the Hall. It's the exact opposite. Jimmy Smith belongs in the Hall with him. And that's where I got started thinking, because I started looking at all the NFL Hall of Fame All-Decades team. And for the most part, they get it right. But again, if you haven't put that person in the Hall of Fame, obviously there's somebody else at that position that's debatable as too, like Leroy Butler and Darren Woodson.
Never say anybody had better stats than Michael Irvin, please. Thank you.
Hey, you know, I have said I think he is legitimately, and I know he doesn't have the true stats, but he is legitimately a top 3 wide receiver of all time.
Like, I mean, he doesn't need to have the stats when he performs and he helps the team go up 4 touchdowns. I'm just saying. These other guys, they're just getting garbage time stats. Let's just be honest with you. That Jerry Rice fella, I mean, who is he even really?
Okay, this is out of nowhere. This is a name I haven't even thought. I was looking up Leroy Butler, but this is a name I haven't even thought of. Are you ready? Interno the Pro. Here we go. Hall of Famer, Hall of a very good safety / defensive back. Sam Madison, the Dolphin great who made 5 All-Pro teams, 6 Pro Bowl teams, but that was in such a small window that he kind of fell off after 2002. I think borderline Hall of Fame, but I'm going to set in Hall of Good because he didn't spread it out enough.
Did he end up winning a Super Bowl with the Giants in 2007?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Played with them for 4 years. He actually had kind of an Everson. That's a great comparison. He kind of had that Everson Walls revitalization with the Giants, where he came over there and he was key for those few years with them.
A part of that great 0-2 Miami defense alongside Patrick Surtain, who his son is dominating with the Broncos right now. I'm going to say, I'm going to go with, because I love that early 2000 Dolphin team. They had a lot of talent, but because they didn't win a Super Bowl, no one ever remembers it.
Mm-hmm. They didn't really have a lot of playoff success in general.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, their last playoff win was that 2000 season, if I'm not mistaken. They beat the Colts in overtime in the wild card round. So yeah, the Dolphins, along with the Cowboys and other teams, they have this long streak of playoff futility. I'm going to say Hall of Very Good. It's hard for me because he did fall off a little bit stat and accolade wise after he left the Dolphins, but man, him and Surtain together, that was one of the most dominant duos at corner in NFL history. They were so good and so young at the time. The Dolphins just found a way to keep those two guys on there for at least a decade.
Man, that's one of those era teams you look back going, why didn't they win more? Like, why didn't they? And it's quarterback. That's why. It's quarterback. That was a weird era where they were winning with bad quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I didn't know about Jay Fiedler and his Dumbo ears until 2000. You know, I think he had a spot start with the Jaguars or backup role for the Jaguars in '99. But yeah, when Marino retired after the '99 season, he was the starting quarterback going into camp, and I was like, I never heard of this guy. Wannstedt is going to struggle. He's not going to keep his job as head coach, but they ended up winning the division and beating the Colts in the wild card round. So those, and then they got Ricky Williams the next year, and they look so dominant. And then 0-2, I've told you this on other shows. 2 weeks left in the season, Miami Dolphins were 9-5 and had the #1 seed in the AFC. 2 weeks later, they're out of the playoffs. One of the weirdest seasons in NFL history.
Yeah, he was out for 5 games in that season. You turn over the Pro Hall of. No, I'm kidding. But Jay Fiedler was an All-Pro 1 quarterback one year.
When 2000?
2000.
That's I don't know if I'm gonna have to look that back up. I don't remember him being. He was good in 2000.
I'm sorry, it's AP Comeback Player of the Year. My bad.
Oh, okay. I'll give him that.
CPOY. I thought they were separate. My bad.
Hey, fun fact: in 2008, the runner-up to MVP was Chad Pennington, quarterback of the Miami Dolphins.
Doodle arm.
He messed up his arm with the Jets, I think in 02 or 03.
Well, I mean, he never had an arm before that. He was, again, I mean this in the greatest compliment. He was a master of that slant, in routes, dig routes, slants, in route, dig routes, and then just lob it up to Randy Moss when they were at Marshall together. That was fun to watch because it's weird. Quarterbacks can throw it deep, and I think too many people say, "Oh man, he's got a strong arm because he throws it 70 yards." No, you have a strong arm if you can throw a 25-yard out from the opposite hash. That's a 78-yard on a rope pass with a 70-yard bomb. You just need to throw it up and let Randy Moss get it. And man, so many times loved watching Marshall during that day with Pennington and Randy Moss. Is Randy Moss, who would you pick right now? Randy Moss or Jerry Rice is the greatest wide receiver of all time?
Rice. And it's because of the reason you said about Emmitt Smith. Just so smart. He was a guy that could look this way and his entire body was going that way. And the cornerback was just befuddled. He was never fast. He never had the speed. He never had the size, but he was so technically smart that he made elite secondary players look foolish. So I'm going to always give it to Jerry Rice. But Randy Moss was also a smart player. He had the athleticism. He didn't have the longevity. So that's another plus for Jerry Rice.
Well, he wasn't, and I think if Randy Moss could do it again, he would. I also think, and I love that Joe Buck apologized, I think a lot of his problems got overrated to where other people have problems in the NFL. But I think Randy Moss will also tell you he wasn't the most technical receiver. Jerry Rice, I mean, look, we joked about it, but Joe Montana won the Super Bowl before Jerry Rice. So, yes, he's a Hall of Famer. Yes, Steve Young's a Hall of Famer.
He won 2 without Jerry Rice.
Who?
Joe Montana.
He won what?
Joe Montana won 2 Super Bowls without Jerry Rice.
He won in 84 or 82 and 84. But Jerry Rice made Steve Young a Hall of Famer. Not saying Steve Young couldn't be a Hall of Famer, but again, I go to Jerry Rice made Rich Gannon an MVP. He elevated the players around him. Going back to Emmett, that shouldn't be a knock on Jerry Rice's Hall of Fame, and nobody ever does. Nobody ever says, well, I mean, you know, the only reason Randy White was good is because he had Ed Too Tall and he had Harvey Martin and he had the greatest, 3 linebackers. But you could make that same case. It's just weird how that has been just pinned down on Emmett. And that's really the whole reason I want to do the show now, because I've just been talking about, and I want to do a whole show with stats and stuff eventually. I will never understand, other than it just being he wasn't pretty enough and he was the Cowboys, why people try to knock Emmitt Smith for the career he has.
Don't overthink it. That's exactly what it is. It's all about style points at this point. That is it. That is it.
Next show.
You know about Randy Moss, though? I will say Bill Belichick gave him one of the best compliments. He said he was probably one of the smartest football players he's ever met in his life, just because he learned so much about offense because of Randy Moss, believe it or not.
The career rehabilitation of players like Randy Moss and Allen Iverson is so satisfying to me. And I'm saying this as a cisgender 51, God damn it, white male. Let's be honest. Some of the Allen Iverson stuff, practice, Larry Brown. Some of the Randy Moss, pulling his pants down, pretending and all that. It's because of their race. That became hot focal points. So I love the career rehabilitation now when everybody's like, dude, Allen Iverson was the best basketball player at the time. He just, he couldn't do like size things because of Jordan, but that's the guy who was the smartest guy. Same thing with Jason Williams, the point guard. His career rehabilitation, as people have really stepped back and been like, that dude overcame so much because of drug issues and stuff. And people, you go look at his career, A, he played forever, and B, he was on some pretty damn good teams.
Yeah, White Chocolate was pretty good, man. He was one of my favorite players back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
It was always in sports when I played, even in sports now in video games, I like to be the facilitator. I want to be the guy that gets the score for you. And so Jason Williams, man, just watching him back in the day in college, the few times he was there when he wasn't getting kicked out and everything, he was fun. And then his career was just absolute blast. I mean, again, he kind of overperformed and underperformed at the same time because he never reached the heights that we thought he would. But he also became an NBA champion and had like a 17-year career.
Yeah, and well, he won that championship with the Heat against the Mavericks. So I loved him 100%, but not right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. But we're talking about that too. Memories of &1 and mixtape. Yeah. Were you into that?
Mixtape, sort of, yeah.
You weren't real big basketball back then, were you?
No.
When did you start getting into other sports outside of football?
No, I take it back. It was the same season, 93, because it was 93 was the Bulls and Suns in the NBA Finals. So I watched that. Right after his dad passed away, he retired, started to play minor league baseball. That finals was great. The characters in basketball drew me in, like Barkley, Larry Johnson, Grandmama,
man.
Yeah, and there was like a lot of little other players I like. Like I liked Del Curry's, Steph Curry's dad.
Yeah, for the Charlotte Hornets.
I've been telling people like Del Curry and Steph Curry, if they just flip flop, they would have probably had the same career.
Yep.
I think Steph Curry would have had the same career as his dad in the 90s, and I think Del would have had the same career as his son in today's NBA. No, just like the Bulls in general. Bill Cartwright's awkward shooting style, the emergence of Chris Webber, somehow the Spurs getting lucky and drafting Tim Duncan in 97, and then Wemby almost 20 years later, or over 20 years later. It's just like little things like that, like the 99 Knicks. Larry Johnson gets a 4-point play to beat the Knicks, or to beat the Pacers in 6 games in the conference final. Like this is like little memories like that I still remember. But yeah, 93. I that was when I did watch the NBA. I watched all the sports. I remember the Phillies and Blue Jays in the World Series in 93. I mean, that was a great year for me, especially Joe Carter ends the season with a home run. That's only happened twice, including that moment in baseball history.
Yep. I'll tell you one of my favorite NBA players, and I've told you this before, but Glenn Rice. Loved it.
Yeah.
In the wing from 1995 to 2000 was just deadly. He went and he had oh God, what's the name? What's the dude that came to the Mavericks and had the one great playoff game? The European Peja Stokovic. He had that in 2000. People forget that in 2000, Kobe Bryant missed part of a game because he hurt his ankle, and Rice stepped up and was Rice of old. He went 21 points, and that's what Peja did in against the Lakers. Actually, I think it was in the deciding game against the Lakers. Peja just goes off and has like 6 3-pointers, and then he didn't do anything else the rest of the series or the rest of the playoffs, but he won his title there. But yeah, I always loved watching Glenn Rice. He was just fun to watch.
He was definitely fun. I watched those teams that were emerging, like the Hornets, the Heat, the Nuggets with LaFonso Ellis and Dikembe Mutombo shaking that finger. I'm trying to think of other teams that I liked during that time period.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The Mavericks weren't really that good in the 90s, so I was still a fan. I love their uniforms, but they weren't for me. I was trying to find other reasons to watch. I love that style of basketball back then. I don't let people crap on it now because it's more fast-paced, more points. But no, I loved it, man. It was good memories. I love the NBC music, Marv Albert. Yeah, a lot of good memories, man. And then hockey, 93. It was two of my favorite uniforms playing the Stanley Cup Finals that year. Montreal Canadiens, the last Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup championship.
Yep.
And the LA Kings, one of the best looking uniforms of all time. I'm glad they brought them back.
Yep.
White. And I'm still mad at you for not telling me that they brought him back.
I didn't know you didn't know.
I didn't know. You should have told me.
Here's a name from the past that you probably haven't thought of in a long time. Katina Mobley.
Oh, Rockets. Yeah. I remember him.
We're on a live deep dive Wikipedia. I did not realize. Now, he famously retired in '08 because he had a heart condition that basically is what killed Hank Gathers and Reggie Lewis. So he retired of a heart condition. But from 2017 to now, he is part of that Big Three, the Ice Cube 3-on-3 league, and he plays in it. He still plays. He's 50 years old. And he still plays in it to this day.
That's awesome.
Man, that team with him, everybody thought that was going to be the next Rockets team that was becoming we kind of joke Rockets are in that England Dallas Cowboy where they've lived off the two they've won way back in the 90s. They've been really good at times since then, but for whatever reason, they can never, whether it be just a bad performance in a key game, or I still think if Chris Paul doesn't get hurt a few years ago, I feel like that team wins the NBA.
That was a team. I think 2018 Rockets. They had Paul. They had James Harden. They had the team around James Harden that was perfect for him. They had Clint Capella in his prime at center. If Paul doesn't get hurt in Game 7, they beat Golden State, and then Golden State I think they sweep the Cavaliers in the NBA Finals that season. So if Houston gets to the NBA Finals that season, they definitely sweep or at least beat the Cavaliers in 6.
What's that white wing guy for the Rockets that the Mavericks ended up getting?
Chandler
Parsons. Add him and Kristen Pop Scotts. We thought we had the white savior, and he ended up being
Kristaps Porzingis.
We thought we had the white savior, and it just goes to crap. Man, Chandler Parsons was never healthy in Dallas.
Mr. 13 points a game.
And we paid like that's another show in of itself. The Dallas Mavericks, since Mark Cuban has owned them, has been wildly successful. They've made 3 NBA finals. They've made 5 Western Conference finals. I think in the 26 years, they've made the playoffs like 17 of them. They've had iconic players. In fact, you can make the case that they have the 1 and 2 bet. Well, I guess Djokovic is probably the number 1. But you have, I don't know, Dirk, Joe, that's a good one. But you have Dirk, Luka, 2 of the top 5 European players of all time. One won an NBA title. Luka went to the finals for Dallas. Yet for some reason in that 25 years, in an area that every other sport loves, like go look at how many NFL players live in Dallas-Fort Worth or baseball players. Hundreds. Yet Dallas has never been able to get a true LeBron James style free agent in their prime.
I would have settled on a center for long term. The Eric Dampier was the ceiling until Tyson Chandler.
And James Donaldson was the ceiling before him. That you don't know him.
I remember of him from back in the day. But
Eric Dampier, and I say this with all love, were 2 peas in the pod with how they played. They were really, really good until they were going, and you can't blame them, but they were really, really good until they were going up against the Kareems or the Shaquilles. And it was sad because, I mean, again, really good. And I really, like, by all accounts, a really, really good guy too. But yeah, that was, I'm trying to see a picture.
I have a friend that knows him personally, and he says he's a really good guy. But then we finally get Tyson Chandler, and we can only have him for 1 year.
Well, that's asshole's fault.
Cuban?
Yep. You remember what happened, right?
No, I just remember. I just assumed he wanted
James Donaldson.
Oh yeah, beautiful jersey, by the way.
They need to go back to that. I know Cuban doesn't like it, but he's not the man. No, so famously, Cuban basically tried to bet that because the lockout happened right after the season. Like, in a way, Dallas's championship, it wasn't like truncated, but you didn't get to really enjoy it because you immediately went into a lockout. So he tried to bet that the lockout would change fundamentally how everything was. And so what he thought was going to happen was he was going to be able to re-sign these guys who were older for less money. And then the negotiations went closer to the players, and he didn't sign them. I hate that. Like, I get it. You tried. But what frustrates me after that is, and I love Mark Cuban, but for all the talk about it, they wasted 6 prime years of Dirk. Dirk was still good for 6 years after that title. People have that misremembering of the narrative of, well, that he won the title and then he was done. No, he was still really, really good. They just didn't build a team around him.
Yeah, it was very frustrating, man. There was so many good years there, and it was just wasted. You still had some of the makeup of that team that won the championship, but that slowly went away. Everybody started getting older. So,
all right, so give me your score tonight, Belgium versus U.S.
Game's about to start in 2 minutes. I'm going to say U.S. 1, Belgium 0.
I'm going to go with the upset in U.S., but I think it's going to. I think the only way U.S. can win is if they win with scoring. Their defense is not bad, but they just. I don't trust them against good offenses. So I say they win 3-2 in. Or they go 2-2 and they go to penalty kicks.
Oh, okay.
And then the red card man himself steps up, puts it in the top corner to win it. And then he shoots the fingers to the Belgians, and then we talk about race on our next show.
Perfect.
Anything else you want to talk about? Baseball?
Yeah, I was going to say baseball. We've been on this show for 2 hours. We hadn't talked about baseball at all. All-Star break's coming up. What do you think of the season so far? I know it's the Dodgers and everybody else, but is there a team that can compete with the LA Dodgers?
I mean, you're going to get somebody in the playoffs just like Toronto did. Somebody's going to be, hot and, have just enough. So I think they will. Do I think the Dodgers win? Yes. Do I think the All-Star teams are kind of crappy this year? Yes. And I don't mean that just because only one Ranger made it, but Josh Young should have made he's the top one of all the all-snubs list. But also, and I have no problem with fan voting. I think that's what makes the All-Star games fun. But we have this concentrated voting now. And it's not new, don't get me wrong. But there is no reason that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. should have got voted into the All-Star. He's got 4 home runs. He's struggling this year. He's fine. He's not having as bad of a year as Tatis Jr. in San Diego, but he shouldn't be on the All-Star list, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there needs to be more of a weighted average, I think, especially for the starters. I think the starting lineup should mean more in this case. Do you think the White Sox can actually close it out and actually win the division?
Let's go to the standings real quick. We'll go through. We'll finish the show we'll just go through all the standings, okay? Okay?
Yes, sir. AL East, it's Tampa and New York's to lose.
Hang on.
I remember when I first had the internet.
Wasn't it fun?
Yeah.
We Tedla 6969 at AOL.com. All right, so let's go to the AL East. You're right. Right now, the Rays and Yankees are stretching it out. The Yankees have been really streaky. Like they'll win 5 in a row and then lose 5 in a row and such. Like their last 10, they're 1-9. Man, the Orioles, and I told you this when Texas beat them in that playoffs, I told you that might have been the window. Everybody's, they're young. They're going to be fine. They still haven't won a playoff since then. They didn't make the playoffs last year. They're not making the playoffs this year. And all of a sudden, it feels like the Orioles might be headed to a rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox, Orioles, they've really disappointed. I know the Blue Jays have had injuries, but yeah, the Orioles, they're young. They should not be in this position right now. So that kind of sucks that as soon as they got good, now they're going to have to rebuild. It might not be the case. But I think the Rays are going to pull it out in that division. They have a lot of good youth and health right now.
The first round.
The Rays are like the Milwaukee Brewers of the AL.
Good comparison.
Such a good regular season team, but then they just kind of crap the bed in the playoffs.
Because you win in the regular season with depth, and that's what they have. Both of them consistently have had. The Brewers have had, both of them have had it for 15 years. People forget that Doug Melvin, the former Ranger GM that built the late 90s teams that won divisions but couldn't get further, built that Milwaukee resurgent team 15 years ago. And since them and the Devil Rays, or the Rays, whatever the hell they're called now, they're built for the regular season, which is great until you get into the playoffs.
Yes, sir. All right, so let's go to the Central.
All right. No, I don't think White Sox holds on. In fact, I might shock you. I think the Detroit Tigers end up coming back and winning this division.
Ooh, are you betting on their Scooball getting healthy and coming back?
I feel like this whole team, if you look at and the reason I'm high on this right now is because, as I told you at the beginning of the show, we went to Marshall, my hometown, had July 4th with my parents, and we were watching the Ranger games, who Detroit beat the crap out of them this weekend. And all the metrics for the Tigers are better than their record. Now, that doesn't mean it'll reverse, but I'm a big believer in you always go to your average. And I feel like the Tigers will have a big second half and end up winning this division. I do think the White Sox will stay in the playoff race for the whole season.
Sounds good.
All right, let's go to the American League West. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Astros, Rangers, and Mariners all within 5 games of each other. It'll go just like it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago when the Rangers won the World Series. People forget the Rangers went into that playoff series with Seattle with the chance to be the number 2 seed. Then immediately loses 3 or 4 to where that last game, if they would have lost, the Rangers, who won the World Series, would have missed the playoffs. I feel like that's how it's going to be this year in this division.
I'm going to say the Mariners will pull it out, but Texas will get a wild card.
Yeah, I agree. And
the Athletics get to 80 wins.
I don't know, man. I feel like they're starting to kind of run out of gas. They've really struggled lately, and we'll see.
As you can see by the record, they really like playing away from Sacramento.
Yeah, no shit. Astros are getting healthy. Now, see, that's the team for all of the AL. If the Astros get fully healthy, with how the AL is this year, they can freaking go to the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, they still have the pedigree. They still the guys are older, but they're still good.
Yep. All right, let's go to the National League East, which has just been absolutely fascinating. Such an amazing run. There are going to be 2 teams out of this division that will probably have winning records and miss the playoffs, but the Braves have been phenomenal. They've bounced back. We all kind of felt they would as long as they got healthy again, but you've been talking about it to me every day. The Phillies' resurrection with Donnie Baseball as their manager has been absolutely fun.
Yeah, I've been trying to send you their record every time the Phillies win a game. They've been, I think, at least 20 games over 500 since Don Mattingly became the interim manager. I like the Phillies right now. I think the Braves will still hold on to win the division. You and I talked about it in the pre-show for the season that the Braves would either be like the Blue Jays last year, either really, really good or really, really bad. Right now, they're really, really good. And also, kudos to the Marlins and Nationals. They've been having some pretty solid seasons.
Yeah, the Nationals especially has kind of been surprising. The Nationals are one of those teams that, like we talk about the Mavs and hopefully not the Rangers, but they're one of those teams that won that. Where the hell did that come from, World Series? I think they did make one more playoff after that, but they haven't done anything since then.
Yeah. It's been more of a rebuild the last few years.
All right, let's go to the NL Central, which to me is the most enjoyable. Unfortunately, the Pirates are doing what they've done the last 4 years. They start off hot. Everybody talks about, hey, this could be the year, and then they start to fade back. The Brewers, I mean, we talked about they look unbeatable in the regular season, but I don't trust them in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Brewers made it to the NLCS last season, got swept easily by the Dodgers. I could definitely see a repeat this season. They look good. Pat Murphy he's such a good manager, but I see them. They'll win the division. I don't know how far they'll go in the playoffs, but I can guarantee they'll at least make the playoffs and or win the division.
They remind me, speaking of Doug Melvin, of those late 90s Rangers having to play the Yankees in the first round 3 out of 4 years, and they just were just not a matchup for them. Hey, the Cardinals, a lot of people thought the Cardinals were going to be one of the worst teams in baseball. They've been really competitive. I like seeing the Cubs up there. I think the Cubs will make the wild card because the West is so bad. I mean, you could see a case where the wild cards all come from the NL East, though.
It wouldn't surprise me. I could see the Marlins. They're young enough and dumb enough to really think they can do it. The Nationals are also young and dumb enough where I could see them also going on a roll. I could see the Phillies, Marlins, and Nationals all making it, which would suck for the Cubs and Cardinals. But, yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
The Mets are having their every other year. Next year, they'll probably be in the NLCS because that's how they work right now. It's really strange how you can talk about just weird consistency, and that's the Mets. All right, we'll finish on the NL West. The Dodgers are running away with it. It's not just how good they are. It's just every other team in that division is not terrible outside of the Rockies. Though, hell, I mean, this is the best Rocky year in like 5 years, sadly. The Giants, the Padres, and the Diamondbacks are just all fair to middling. They're just not good. And then the Dodgers are just elite. I think this might be the year where the Dodgers, Moses Malone's it and goes faux, and faux.
Yeah, I could definitely see that for sure. This is more of a disappointment for the Diamondbacks and Padres because they've kind of built those teams to actually win this year, and they've disappointed. I could definitely see some wholesale changes going on with those two organizations, maybe going back to being below the Rockies. The Rockies are having a much better season they had last year, so good for them. They can only go up. They have a new head of baseball operations, and I think it's Dee Podesta, and he's doing already a great job. I like the long-term look at the Rockies. I don't like the long-term look at the Padres or the Diamondbacks.
Well, the Padres, it feels like we've been saying that for 4 years now. Now, the Diamondbacks, it's kind of funny because when the Rangers beat them in 2023, you always do the whole thing where you talk about both teams and the great season they had. And I remember the whole thing was, well, these two teams could be back the next couple of years. And these two teams have both been about the same. 10 games under 500.
Yep.
Good, but not great. Not terrible, but just not good enough to be consistent enough. And I agree with you. I think I could see the Padres blowing it up quicker, though, because the Padres are – I mean, we thought they were blowing it up after the owner died 2 years ago, and somehow they've kind of hung on. But eventually I feel like the Padres are going to break and start dropping Machado and Tatis Jr. And the closer right now might get 75 first-round picks and players if they traded him right now.
Yeah, if they're going to do it this season, just rip the Band-Aid off and just play for 2029. I think Terry's taking a swig.
Yep, sorry, I forgot we had the graphic up. All right, anything else you want to talk about before we begin?
I think we covered everything, sir.
All right, I do want to say one thing real quick. Let me get all this going. This episode has been brought to you by Everlift Garage Repair. If you're in Dallas-Fort Worth and you have a garage door that has messed up, I don't know if you've ever had garage door issues. I haven't for the most part, mainly because I don't open my garage much. But like Studio's wife's mom, and at her house, they have a garage door that's broken. We're actually going to call him, Johnny, tomorrow at 469-209-1863 or go online, everliftgaragerepair.com. I love this story, not just because he's paying us to advertise, but he, as a kid, decided he wanted to do home repair and things like garage doors because his hardworking single mom, where they lived, they had a garage door break. And that's one of those costs that comes out of nowhere. You never realize you need a garage door until it won't close. I mean, if you have stuff in your garage, but even if you don't, animals come in, things like that, but also how expensive it is. Like, that's just one of those things that, like, I've had one garage door I had to deal with, and I wasn't the owner, I was renting, so the landlord, but I was there and I took the bill, and the dude like did two things. I don't want to say he didn't work hard, but he did like two things, and it was $300. And this was back in like 2007. So I love the fact that Johnny saw what his mom had to go through to fix it and decided he wanted to do this. Be good. Of course, he needs to make money, but be affordable. And that's what he does. He gets free estimates. He's bilingual, so you can talk in English and Spanish. He services all of DFW, but mainly Lavon, Rockwall, Wiley, Saxe, Rowlett, where the studio is. Don't come over here. I once had a 6'1" chick try to come into my house. It was really weird. Sorry, Johnny. But you can give him a call, 469-209-1863. Again, or go online, everliftgaragerepair.com. Also, for seniors, a free inspection of your garage door. He will walk you through everything, tell you if there's something wrong, and if there is, he will work out affordable costs. And we do appreciate him being a sponsor of OutDrank The Coverage. Also, if you want to email the show, I have some emails I need to go to. A couple of them are funny. Actually, I want to go through one now. We still got 9,000 people. What are y'all doing? Soccer started. I don't like soccer. America. I want to say this, though. I got an email talking about How do you, me, and you, intern Noe, the pro of the commission, the one-time fantasy football champion, how do you view people like Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless who talk sports and get paid lots? Do you view them as grifters like maybe political people who have shows and say things just to get that engagement? Do you think of them as grifters?
I think of them as actually very knowledgeable, but they found a demand in the market for entertainment, and they just went to 11
Yep.
in the entertainment spectrum. They just decided to go full entertainment, less on facts, more on emotion, and more on feeling, more on pomp and circumstance. And because they knew they would get paid more doing it that way. And you know what? To their credit, they were right. People watch that, unfortunately. It's garbage, but they watch it, and I can't blame them. I'm not going to blame them. I'm going to blame the people that actually watch them.
Thank you. That's what when I get so tired, and I don't care what political spectrum you're on when I'm saying this. When people say the mainstream media does this, no, the mainstream media does what the audience tells them. As someone who's worked at a radio station, multiple, you do what the numbers tell you to do. I think political grifting and sports grifting is two separate things. Sports grifting is fun. I don't like to do it. You and I, and me and Grant, my co-host on my high school shows, we don't manufacture. I never say you pick this side, even if you don't believe it, and I'll pick the other side. Now, if we're both 50-50, then yeah, I'll talk this side of it and you talk that side of it, because we both feel both sides have, they're even. Political grifting is different though, because that's changing how lives are. Our sports talk, as much fun we have, it ain't saving a life or hurting someone in any way. Political grifting, getting people to believe bullshit, is a completely different level. And as much as I hate what Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, and to be fair, again,
Well, now, Noe, to be fair,
sports talk in general that started in the 80s and then really grew up in the 90s is part of the problem. You and I talk every other week for a couple hours. We talk in the NFL season once a week for an hour. Sometimes we do 2 shows. We do these off-season shows that don't really need hot sports opinions. But now, tell a radio station that every day, for 24 hours a day, you've got to provide content. And a lot of it's going to be local. You're going to have to just argue about shit you don't care about. And that's one of the things that got me out of doing sports talk radio, like having a everyday 2-hour show, because I'm like, God damn, I don't want to talk PGA golf for 2 hours. I don't care. But I tip my hat to him, even though it's Wesley Mantu from Anchorman. Damn it, Ron Burgundy, I hate you, but I respect you. And that's kind of how I feel about the likes of Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless.
That's how I feel about you too, buddy.
Oh, wait, what? Huh? That's how I feel about Grant. But no, I'm just glad you've never, we'll argue, but it's organic. It's always organic. I mean, you're wrong organically, but.
And that's why I hate you.
All right. Any other thing? Jason Robertson. He's back apparently with the Stars, at least for one more year. It looks like he's going to go to arbitration. That doesn't mean they can't trade him if they want, but basically they have control over him. Man, I got to tell you, the Dallas Star fandom with him is weird. They hate him. They call him greedy. I mean, the dude's just doing what agents and players do. Look, folks, I know it's different, but it's still a job. Their job is to get paid. Their job is what they do, whether they win a title or not. I don't care. And I've had people on Dallas Stars, people tell me it's different. Will you take less for your company to hire better people so y'all are better? Because if you won't, don't come at me with it. He should take less.
Exactly.
I mean, you and I have talked about this with Dak Prescott. I wish Dak Prescott would take less. I wish he would be like, you know what? $10 million a year is good. Use the 40 other million. He doesn't. I don't like it as a fan, but as someone who's an adult, Dak, go get yours. It's not your job to worry about the rest of the roster. You can have both views on this.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I get tired of the Dallas Stars fans talking about we need toughness. Toughness doesn't win cups. Newsflash: goal scorers win cups.
Timely goal scoring.
Foot in the crease, goal scoring. All right. I think that's going to do it. Have you have any other questions? I think that was Jeff. I meant to pull it. I'm pretty sure his name was Jeff. Email us, odtcnetwork@gmail.com. Friday, we're going to be doing some off live recording. The 90s, we're going to start with the 90s because that's one we're both comfortable with. And I can, like, we say this, like 90s up, you and I can talk on the same level. 80s and 70s, well, 80s for me, but even the 70s, I don't remember. That's more of us just kind of talking about things we've read. So we're going to probably do 90 and up first because we're more comfortable with that. Oh, excuse me. That'll come out probably, I hope, Monday. The other thing we're doing, Friday Night Lights, that's going to take a lot of time. We're going to do season 1. That's going to be a work in progress. That might not even come out. Like, we're not in a hurry to do that. But I do. This has happened 3 times now, but randomly, I got an email from a certain person's in a show that we love's agent wanting to revisit bringing him on to talk about one of our shows.
The league?
Patrick Swayze's butt. Oh, wait, yeah. Paul Scheer. I don't know.
That was my second guess.
It's always I don't know. Maybe Paul Scheer's he's starting to lose some jobs or not getting all the jobs because all of a sudden they've reached out twice in a week like, hey, would you like Paul to be on? You know, we'd like to talk to Lee. By the way, he still has a great YouTube channel that nobody watches. But anyway, anything else?
That's it.
Intern Noe the Pro, I bid adieu.
I bid you a Freddie adieu.
Ooh, getting racist now. All right, that's going to do it. Until next time, he's Intern Noe the Pro, the commissioner. 1 time, not 2 times, not 2 times in 1 season. 1 time champion of OutDrank the Coverage Fantasy Football right here on